So I've been sculpting this creature live on YouTube Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I go for about 2 hours every time. So if you want to learn about the process and just join me in the making of these things, consider checking them out. This video is just a sped up video of the whole process, and it's a little bite-sized collection. Maybe you'll miss some of the lives, maybe you haven't seen any of the lives, I don't know, man, but it's the beginning to end of the process of sculpting this creature, so I hope you enjoy it. Yeah. All right, so I first want to apologize for the quality of these clips. I was trying to do TikTok lives as I was trying to figure out how I was going to stream the sculpture series, and so we're gonna move past this really quick, hopefully. So what I was trying to do was just scribble around, trying to find random shapes that I liked and that I identified with, because I didn't know what I was going to do. And eventually I found this shape that looked like a skull, almost like a cow's skull. And I just started pulling off some different limbs, different forms, and I stumbled upon a humanoid form. See that cute ass Pikachu? That's what happens when you subscribe during one of my lives. So we skipped past a bunch of stuff because I didn't want you to have to deal with all that awful TikTok format. It's terrible. I hated it, so I wanted to move on. That's why I moved over to YouTube. And so I'll end up going over everything again. I really took my time with this, so a lot of the details are layered over and over, and you'll get to see everything, don't worry. So I made this tooth out of a cone, just, you know, sculpted it and made it look like a sharp canine looking thing. And then I duplicated it a bunch of times. Just, you know, Shift D, you duplicate. That's how it works in Blender anyways. And you just move it around, and I moved the scale and I rotated it and all that. And I just made each one as unique as I possibly could. And the rib cage was no different, you know. You just make a simple form and you just copy and paste. You change the scale, change the rotation, and they look unique. But because they're replications of each other, and this is an organic creature, it makes sense, because most ribs look the same, you know. So now I was trying to differentiate between the gums and the lips, and so I'm just pushing that in. I'm using the crease tool. Words are hard, man. So I'm using the crease tool, and I'm just pushing in little divots, so that way it's just a guideline for me to go over it again. A common theme of mine is I use the crease tool as like a little sketch tool, like a little place to guide my hand for later. And I push in the form, and then I go back over it with clay strips, and I build the form back up, and I really solidify what I'm trying to get with the clay strips. But for me to know what to do in the future, I do the crease tool first. And yeah, dude, we're building up that gnarly looking lip. So we need the gums first, and then we're putting the lips on top, because the lips physically are on top of the gums. I know that makes intuitive sense, but that's usually how you want to sculpt things. You want to put the bottom part first, and then you put the top part second, you know. Okay, so same concept here. We have the ribs pushed in to the body, and then we want to have the skin build up around the ribs, and so the skin has to react to the ribs, so the ribs have to be in place first. Oh, we got a forked tongue. That's right, I mirrored it, and it was off-centered, and I really liked it. I didn't think we were gonna keep it at first, but we kept it. I'm really happy with it. And now we're just building some stuff up. We're just making intuitive decisions as we go. This whole thing is a doodle. This whole thing is just like goofing around. And it's fucking cool that it just fucking happens, dude. Seriously, once you know the basics of anatomy, you know where all the muscles are supposed to go, you can just make creatures for fun. You can just doodle creatures. It's so crazy, man. Oh, and then I'm working on this procedural texture. It's a pretty normal procedural texture that I usually work with. And I wanted to do this animalistic type, like foot thing, whatever, you know. So it has a little jagged part in the back. You know, I just think that'll look cool, especially if it's wobbling at you. So that was the concept. And yeah, man, we're gonna doodle more on the face. We're putting the wrinkles in, because I think the face is where most of the detail needs to go, and so that's kind of the idea. That's why we're putting all this stuff that's happening. And I wanted to have a pretty good balance between the smooth parts in the skin and the crusty parts, the wrinkly bits, you know. So what I was trying to say is, like, because the back is smooth because that's where all the skin is being pulled from the back, as you can see right there. But then all the skin is hanging in the front, and so that's why the skin is wrinkly in the front and it's very tight in the back. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so I was trying to find like a good balance between these two very strong textures. I wasn't sure what kind of texture I wanted to do for the tail, and so I just threw on some like really strong rock textures just to give myself some inspiration, and I really liked how it was going. And so I went along with all this stuff, but obviously I toned it back down. I built some clay strips right back up on top of it. I smoothed it up, but it was a really good base to work with. I really like using rock texture for just like doing random stuff. You know, it's very organic. It doesn't seem like a rock when you paint it like skin, you know. It's really weird how that works. So yeah, when you're looking for like inspiration for textures and you're not sure what to do with it, don't be afraid to use weird ass textures meant for other things. My go-to is rock textures, but there's so many other different textures that you can work with. You could do like cloth textures, and I don't even know, man. Just use your imagination and just go to town, and it doesn't even have to be the final form. It could be used as inspiration for a direction to go when you're not sure what to do next. I was kind of doing a bit of a scorpion tail. I wanted to have a way for him to attack when he's on all fours. Yeah, he's gonna swipe with his front paws, but he also has to stab you from with his tail. That's the goal anyways. So I was just like messing around. That was kind of the overall idea, was a scorpion tail. All right, so you saw that big ass cavity in the middle, right? That needs to hold a heart. That's the plan anyways. So I looked at a model of a human heart and I just went to fucking town, man. I just started with the sphere and I just started pushing and pulling some forms, and it doesn't look like a whole lot right here, but you know, you just take your time with it. There's a whole lot of tubes you have to put into it and a couple veins, and then I noticed that it's not as circular as I was working with, so I pushed and pulled and I made it work until, you know, it did the thing that I needed it to do. So I originally tried to make this without a reference. That's what they're called. And I really made a whole lot of mistakes. It didn't look like how it was supposed to look like, and so I just want to take the time out of my day to let you know that using references is one of the most important things you can possibly do throughout this whole thing. Not only was I looking at a heart reference for the heart, but I was looking at a whole bunch of wrinkle references for all the wrinkles, and I was looking at different animals for the concepts of what this whole creature was going to be. Anyways, I'm rambling. So we put the heart inside of the cavity, inside of the cage, and I wanted to connect up. And so at first I was thinking I was going to have tubes from within the creature that connected to the heart. But that didn't make any sense when the heart already has tubes. And so I took the tubes and I just stretched them out and I made them make sense. Oh, and then this is what we're doing here is I'm going in between every single tooth and I'm adding some bulge to them. That's right. Bulge. And that's what the tool is called. It's called bulge. And so I went and I just like scribbled on each one slightly different. I didn't want any of them to look exactly the same, but I wanted them to look similar. So that's why I started with the same base mesh. Oh, and then we're back at the heart. We're going at it, and I upped the detail. I lowered the voxel size. I remeshed it, and so now we're scribbling at it again. Okay, so there's actually tons of wrinkles that are going on in the heart, and notice how I do everything kind of in passes. I do like a rough draft, and then I break it down into smaller details, and then I go back over it one more time, and so it's like 3 passes, and it's a really good way to make sure that there's a hierarchy to the level of detail that you're doing, because everything needs to make sense. Everything needs to connect to each other. And so we're going back over the skin yet again, and we're separating ideas, we're separating thoughts. I did that big pass, you see how there's like big chunks of detail, and then I'm going over it again with smaller chunks of details. Now if you're looking for a really good pattern for wrinkles, or even especially lizard, dinosaur, dragon skin, it's called you do a bunch of X's, you do a bunch of layers of X's, and then you go over that one more time and you build that up. And actually right here I'm playing around with the draw tool, and it allows me to keep that crease that I'm looking for, because clay strips sometimes doesn't give me what I'm looking for. Now right here I'm looking at elephant skin as a reference, and I'm just kind of following general concepts, general ideas that this elephant skin has given me. It's very wrinkly, everything's overlapping, it's very heavy as well, very thick. I'm using a bunch of adjectives, but I think it explains it well, you know, and I'm following the general themes. I hope that makes sense. And I'm still going on with the elephant skin. I'm playing around with the color of everything. I'm playing around with this procedural texture that I've come up with, and I'm really using the elephant skin as a guide for where I'm going, because I didn't like how it was starting to look like a scrotum on the face, and so I started playing around with different colors, and I decided to go all the way back to gray, and I built it up from there. And I think I finally found what I was looking for, and I'm really happy with how it turned out, man. I'm so excited, dude. It looks like its own thing, and it's not just like an elephant thing. I don't know, man. So we went back to the ribs, and I actually combined them all as a single object, and we're back to the rock texture, and I'm just like scraping over them and trying to give them all individuality, and I'm moving them with the deform tool, and it's starting to, like, we're getting down to the super nitty-gritty details, and I'm really excited about what's about to happen next. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope those of you who watched the lives enjoyed the lives. I hope to see you on my next live, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. On Tuesdays, my plan is to do like a speed sculpture and try and make a whole entire thing within one live. And then Wednesdays and Fridays will be the continuation of this creature, because I still have to retopologize it, I still have to bake it, I still have to rig it, I still have to animate it. If you want to see that process live, I hope to see you on one of my streams. I want to emphasize that there's like a conversation that's going on, that there's like, I want your input on what's happening with these creatures. A lot of the details that went into this guy were suggestions from the chat, and so then it's like we're all making this thing together, and I think that's awesome. Okay, I think that's everything, so I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you soon.